Hey everybody, welcome back to another video from Caught Up in the Book with Lauren. I'm Lauren and I want to wish you a happy new year. I'm tired of people saying happy new year. I done heard it a lot lately, but this is my first video here of the new year. So I have to tell you guys happy new year for sure. So happy new year everybody. Happy 2025. I hope things are going well for you now, and I wish you nothing but prosperity, abundance, and good reading in the new year. So, my first video of the new year is going to be an ode, homage, a throwback. It's going to ask the question, what were we reading as teens, as kids, as young adults, okay? If you are like me, you got into reading early. So, of course, I read, stuff at school. A book that I always remember reading in, I want to say like fourth grade, maybe. It was elementary school for sure. It is Roll of Thunder, Hear My Cry. So, right now, I can't really tell you what it was about. It was a girl, I think her siblings, maybe Mississippi in the Deep South. I don't remember the details, okay? I only read it at one time. But the book still, like, I can see the cover, everything. But Roll of Thunder, Hear My Cry is like the first book that I remember reading school-wise, like long form. It had chapters, things like that. So that was fourth grade. That was early. But like by the time I got to high school, I was reading the things, okay? I was reading, okay? And I would say definitely some of it was urban fiction, some of it was just like romance and just African American fiction. But some of it now, some of it then is probably equivalent to what we now call smut. Okay? Because it felt down and dirty. Okay? It felt like all the tea. Okay? You was getting all the tea. Okay? You was hearing, seeing, reading, baby. You wasn't doing none of that. You were reading all the things that they were doing. Okay? All the things that they were into. So, many of us are introduced to books in some way, form, or fashion. So for me, I want to say some of the books were my mama books. That was my mama's books. That was my mama books. And my memory is not serving me well because I don't know if she was letting me read these books, like we was exchanging books like we would do today, or if my mama had the book and I was just sneaking off and reading the book. 9 times out of 10, I was just sneaking off and reading the book, or just, getting it some kind of way, okay? When I got into maybe college, the library became a source of reading material for me. I'm like, it's free. Let's do that. So, take advantage of your library, okay? Get your library card. It's free, okay? Turn in the book on time and you don't have to worry about no fees, no extracurricular stuff, all that. But, so early books, I feel like some of the books are like classics. It's going to be like well-known books that everybody has heard of and or read. But, I mean, it was a movement and it was a real thing. Okay. So these are in no particular order because the timeline as far as like when they were released and published, all that kind of stuff, I don't have it. It's just like a timeline in my head, really. But the book that I remember being like, or the book that became the urban fiction classic. The urban fiction, it's like the introduction to urban fiction in a sorts. And that book is The Coldest Winter Ever by Sister Soldier. I read about this book in, I want to say Vibe or Honey magazine back in the day. And I knew I had to read it because it was just presented to me as this is the cherry on top. Now, it is a classic. But if we're talking real talk, that book was a lot of hype. Okay? Now, this is not what this video is supposed to be about, but it was a lot of hype. And when I reread the book, when the new edition came out, not the new edition, but the Resurrection or something like that, she wrote like a sequel, but it's like an old 20-year later sequel, because there are a few sequels in between there. Midnight is definitely one of them that I also read. But when I reread The Coldest Winter Ever as an adult, as a full-grown adult mother, I was like, this is PG. This is actually boring. This is actually unbelievable and very like over the top, but not in the way that you would, not in the best over the top way. That's the only words I got to say. But so when I reread The Coldest Winter Ever, I was very disappointed with it. Very disappointed with it. It is urban fiction in the fact that it's, city living. Her daddy was a drug dealer. Her mama was a hoe. There was a little opulence there. She was used to a certain lifestyle. It gives, but by my, what's this, 21st century standards, it just don't hit. Anyway, that's probably another video for another day. But The Coldest Winter Ever, definitely a classic. Definitely in most of the girlies is in their repertoire. They've been there, done it. They at least read that. Another book that is what we were reading early, Fly Girl by Omar Tyree. Now I read quite a few of his books. Not quite a few. I read all of his books. And Omar was like the early, he was it. You know what I'm saying? He was it. He was Fly Girl, like looking at it. I don't like the two Y's on it, but that's just me being difficult. But he was ahead of his time, I guess you could say, with the things. It's not so PG. It's not rated R compared to what we reading now, but it's right there in the middle, like PG-13. It's still good. It's still great. It's good. So then another one I always remember is True to the Game and or Dutch. I think I like True to the Game better as far as reading material. I think I haven't read like the whole collection of Dutch. I didn't have time for all that. But True to the Game was one that was like, I'm telling you, some of these books I have reread as an adult, and it's like, But I also read books now that I be like, no. It's just be like a quick no. Nope. That was bootleg. That was boring. That was stupid. That was dumb. It was a waste of time. Like, I feel like these books was just the early version. It's like if you see the original Planet of the Apes. Like it was done in the 70s or something. So it looks very primitive. It looks like Bedrock. The Bedrock version. It looks simple. And I feel like maybe that's the vibe with some of these books. They just simple, so to speak. But, still a good book. But I guess with my adult mind, it's like, come on now. All this rhyme and reason, people coming back to life and hiding and things like that. And not to say that can't make a good story, because it is a good story. But it's just, some of it is like presentation. If it was presented in a different form, even with different people, like if it was a non-African American book, it might be easier to believe. And I mean, it's even hard for me to say that. I don't like that I'm saying it, but it is what it is. So another author that I read early in my, reading career that exposed me to like a love of reading, but like juicy, salacious kind of whatever. That was Terry McMillan. I read all her books at a young age. Well, I'm not trying to say it just to say that I read them in a book, but I was into her stuff, got introduced to her, and like some of these books are just classic reading material. I know I focus on urban fiction a lot, and initially that was like the goal of this video, but I'm just gonna go into the people that introduced me, to a love of reading. Like their books were some of the first books that I got introduced to, that it was like, oh, I gotta keep going. I gotta keep going in the series, or I gotta follow them when the next thing come out. I want to see that, this, that, and the other. Okay. So Terry McMillan was one of those people. I read her books. Now, I will say I wasn't always 100% invested in her books, but I felt like because she was had movies and things like that, I was interested, followed her, that type of thing. The next person that I read, now this go back to what was we reading, girl? What was we reading? What was we reading and why? Elin Harris. Okay. Elin Harris. Let me tell you, we don't talk enough about him today, okay? I don't hear none of the authors that are writing these books today, whether they gay, straight or gay, whatever they talking about. I don't hear them giving Elin Harris his props, because Elin was spilling the tea. He was spilling all the tea. He was spilling. If you do not know, Elin Harris wrote a book called Invisible Life. I think that might have been his first book, but it was in the early 90s, and he was talking about down low and bisexual men, and like some of them were high profile, some of them were married, sleeping with men. It was all the tea and all the things. Like, if you haven't read Invisible Life especially, but if you don't know who Elin Harris is, you got to go pick up one and or all of his books. But if you can only get one, baby girl, if you can only get one, get Invisible Life and get that tea. And remember, this was written in the 90s. If you read or saw, or we were hearing about that same version or those same actions in 2025, we still would have our mouths open, our jaws to the floor. Like, it would be shocking and surprising and this, that, and the other. You know what I'm saying? We've had an openly gay football player in the NFL, or was he a basketball player? One of the guys in the book was a professional athlete. I don't know if I'm assuming it was NFL. I'm just going to make him be NFL. But if we've had somebody, but we still, they didn't respect that man. They didn't treat him right. I can't even think of his name right now, but I remember his partner was white. But still, if we were hearing that today, it would be controversial. It would be, ooh and all over the vlogs. It would be interesting. And I'm not sure, I can't remember right now in this moment if he talked about HIV and AIDS in there, but I want to say in at least one of his books, I want to say at least one of them, they did talk about consequences such as HIV and AIDS. There are many, sex is just risky overall right now, but he was addressing the real life. They wasn't play things. And I think sometimes in the books that we read today, nobody addresses the real deal things that come with sex. They just humping and hopping. Like, even when they say, if a book talks about putting on the condom, I'm happy to hear that. You know what I'm saying? It's not necessarily sexy. It's not necessarily, romantic, but it's also what you need to be doing. Okay. And this is step one of what you need to be doing if you're going to be doing the things, okay? So keep it real and talk about sliding on that condom before you poke it and then moke it, okay? Anyway, let me get off my TED Talk tangent. Elin Harris, Invisible Life. And in this same lane, I'm going to say, as Elin Harris, you have Eric Jerome Dickey. He is another classic writer of this, kind of led us into where we are now. bridge between like old school and new school or something like that. He has wrote several books, too many books. Like right now I can't even think of a name of one of his books. Let's see. I remember the one. Okay, let me tell you what I remember by Eric Jerome Dickey. His name, because I was probably a kid, immature. Dickey was his last name, or is his last name. And then, he's got 3 names. I always remember, or he goes by 3 names. I always find it interesting when people use like all of their names. A lot of times when you have serial killers or killers, murderers, these people, they always give their whole name. And they call them by the whole name. It's not like, we just telling you so you know. They going by their whole names. Like the guy that JFK, it was 3 names. Like it's always the whole names. It's interesting. It's weird. It's different. But anyway, he went by all 3 of his names, okay? But he always has awesome covers on his books. His book covers are A1. They always had his, full name on there. And then they were picturesque. Like, that's what I remember most about them, which is interesting. Let's see. Eric Jerome Dickey, Coffee in My Milk. I read that. That's an early one. Sleeping with Strangers. Sounds familiar. Friends and Lovers, for sure. Oh, this book called Pleasure. Spicy. Walking with the Enemies. I read that one. I remember that cover. This is the one that I couldn't think of, Chasing Destiny. I remember on the motorcycle bike. And then I don't know if Destiny's Child came out around this time, but this person was giving Beyonce. I do remember that. But it looks like Eric Jerome Dickey wrote up until his unfortunate end. And this book, Sister, that's one of his early books. I read that too. Unfortunate end. His last book that I see published or listed as being published is 2020, and he passed away in 2021. That is terrible. He passed away from cancer. But he was one of those early authors that was given the juice and the tea and the spice. Okay? Spicy. So, truly, okay? He is one of those writers, just like Elin Harris, that if these new girlies that's trying to put out urban fiction and just the people that can't write a complete story, you know what I'm saying? We're looking for a whole story. We're just looking for the juice and the tea instead of just like the whatever. You know what I'm saying? They need to read these books, okay? They need to read these books, study these authors, because these was the authors that was doing the thing. And if you say that you are a fan of these said authors, then you need to become correct. You need to come a little bit better than some of the things that we get. Because I'm like, these people did not get exposed to the real, because if they did, they would do better. They would give better. Like, these books and stuff, they're edited. They are put together well, all that stuff. And a lot of these books are through white publishing houses. You know what I'm saying? This is the early 90s into the early 2000s. They threw white publishing houses. It wasn't too many maybe black-owned publishing houses. And that's a great thing that I might explore later. But it may not have been too many black publishing housing or like urban streets, smaller, like this is what we're going to do type of publishing houses. You had to go through the Schuler and Schulers and the whoever else. And they weren't going to like... it's going to be edited. It was going to be just presented a little bit better than some of the stuff that we get now. I think some people slack now because A is self-published. They at home typing it up themselves. Ain't nobody looking at it. Nobody's reading it before they put it out. They think it's good. They don't get that second opinion, second, third, fourth pair of eyes. They don't get none of that. They put it out and it's easy. They make the money. And then people like me read it, see it, and can say, oh, it wasn't this, that, and the other, but it don't compare to Eric Jerome Dickey. It don't compare to Elin Harris, but they still got they 99 cents or whatever they're charging via, Kindle or whatever. They still got their money, and they just going on about their life. It be a money grab, and I don't like when it feels like a money grab. Like, I realize that writers are writing to fund things. Like, some people write for fun, but a lot of them, are trying to pay the bills. Would love to pay the bills with the money, but they when it feels like a money grab, when it feels like there's no heart and soul put into it, for me, I'd be like, nope, 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 nope. I can't do it. I'd be like, I don't even want to read them no more. I don't want to be a part of it. I want no parts. And, they could actually improve and become a better writer, but that would be hard for me to give them a second chance unless somebody told me, hey, Lauren, if that didn't improve, you gonna like it. You gonna read it, you gonna like it. If they told me that, then yes, I would go ahead and have to check it out. Another writer, okay, who got me into reading, okay, reading and loving to read. And also still don't get these people, everybody, y'all not talking about the people enough. We're not giving them their props. So that's what this video and this channel is for. I'm gonna give them the props, okay? Gonna give them the props because we gotta really examine Invisible Life. We gotta go back and do that. But moving forward, the next writer is Kimberly Lawson Robbie. 3 names again. But Kimberly, okay. First of all, she was a beautiful brown-skinned woman, okay. Love her for that, just for that alone. But she was writing a black soap opera, okay? I loved her books. Was it Pastor Curtis? And she involved the church? Girl, stop it. Pastor Curtis, salacious. Off the chain. Curtina, that baby name was Curtina from... What? Are you serious? The first lady, his daughter, and her husband, she had the spinoffs and everything. Kimberly Lawson Robbie, another 5-star writer. I think she reminded me of Yolanda Adams too for some reason. I don't know. But anyway, she was just excellent. Excellent. Hey, she need her props. She need her props. We need to get these people her props. They need to give these people their props. She deserves her props. Kimberly Lawson Roberts, she has multiple books. First of all, they all often bob and weave together. These people doing part 1 through 9 of a book, and it's really just 3 books that they end on a stupid cliffhanger and stuff like that. She giving us 9 complete stories. Okay? In the series. And sometimes, you know what, you don't even got to read the 1 to know. You ain't even got to read book 1 to know what's going on in book 5. You can pick up with book 5 if you want to, but then you're going to read it and find out 1 through 4 exists, and you guys I got to read 1 through 4. That's what you're going to say because she's reading it. And the thing about Kimberly Lawson Robbie, she is not urban fiction, even though I'm telling you, I don't consider her urban fiction. I don't think she's urban fiction, at least not the urban fiction that we know today. These people were opulent, they were rich, they was bougie acting, they was, want to be stuck up, they was high class, highbrow, whatever. But the books give all the drama, all the everything that you get from the urban fiction, okay? It gives it. We don't talk about her enough. We don't talk about her books enough. Why her stuff not being turned into a series? 50 Cent, pick it up. Okay? Pick it up. BET, pick it up. BET Plus, pick it up. It's a movie. It's a movie. It's a series. Her books are awesome. All that. And it's real reading. You ain't going to be able to skim through it and all that stuff. It's real reading. You're going to have to think. You're going to have to put your thinking cap on. Okay? You're going to have to engage with her writing. But it's worth it. It's worth it. It's worth it. You should have these books in your collection. Okay? At least one. You got to have something. Okay? The Blacks. That family, okay, would give any of these little soap opera families, what's his name? Stefan and Marlena from Days of Our Lives. It would get all of them a run for their money, okay? All of them. All right, y'all. Lastly on my list of authors, because this was supposed to be a different type of video, but it is what it is, honey. I done let the spirit move me, okay? I done let the spirit move me. But lastly on this list is a popular author that a lot of y'all might be familiar with, and that is the one and only Carl Weber. Carl Weber is an author, lots of books, lots of series, lots of, parts in the books. You're going to get a perfect whole and complete book, though. You're going to get it. And unlike some of the other people, Carl Weber at least is getting his, I guess, like an extended flowers type thing. He's able to grow, move, and shift because his two of his books or series have been turned into TV shows. The one that is probably most popular is The Family Business, okay? It's on BET or BET Plus, but it is a series that already has like spinoffs of it. It's got a prequel, okay, that I enjoy. It's even got spinoffs with like the kids. I know Rio has his own book. Paris has her own book, if not two. And then the whole family, like chapter by chapter by chapter. And of course, now that I'm thinking about it, when you got a lot of kids and you can do stuff like that, it's a lot of kids in the family, but everybody got a purpose. Everybody got a specialty. Everybody got a this, that, and the other. It's the family business, okay? And they about their business, okay? They about their business. I will say, to a degree, the TV shows, it takes away from the creativity of what you have in your mind. Like, to me, Tammy playing her character, whose name is not coming to me right now. Tammy playing her character spot on. Like, I love it. It wasn't what I initially envisioned for her character in my head, but when I saw Tammy as it, now that's all I see. That's all I see. That's she is that person. But like, to me, the girl Paris looked different, but it's kind of intermingling. Rio definitely looked different. Like, Rio is what he gives on the show, but he, in my head, was a little bit different than in the movies and stuff. But like the older brother, the one, what's his name? Vegas, I think. They all named after like cities, famous cities / they cities. Vegas, I think, is the one. He is it Vegas? I don't know. One of the brothers, the big bulky brother, the one who going with Breeley Evans' character. Now, he is more than it's good. Back to Carl Weber. Great writer. He had a movie, The Man in the Apartment. Is it 2B, 4B, 3B? It's a letter, it's a number, and B. There you go. Excellent movie, excellent book. Like, it's got that mystery that it just can't ask no question. It was great. It was great. And that is one book that I know that non-readers got into. Okay? Non-readers got into. And one of those people was my sister. My sister is not heavily into books or whatever, but she read that book. I think she listened to it on Audible, but she was into it. Like, we had a conversation about it, and I was like, oh my goodness, my sister, she gonna be started reading. She didn't do it though. It's okay. It's okay. It ain't for everybody. But you see that the point is that Carl Weber and his writing style, his writing style brought us together, brings the people together. So if you not sure, or if you think you're not a reader either, like, maybe you start there, honey, because it had my sister. It didn't have a hook, but the book had her hook. She didn't want to read no more, but the book had her hooked. So yes, those are the writers that shaped my love and like of reading. Some of them are like super popular mainstream. I don't think any of them are really like niche, but I want you guys to let me know. I would love to be introduced to other authors that are like next in line. Like, who's next? I can name maybe 2 or 3 other authors that are like next in line. I think all the authors that I have done author spotlights on here on the channel are people who I feel like, they're who keeping me here right now. Takira Allen is keeping me here. She got me hooked. Ashley Antoinette, she's keeping me here, Those are the people right now off the top of my head who are keeping me here. And then these authors that got me here are also responsible for keeping me here. Carl Weber, he's keeping me here. Yes, sir. I'm curious about who's going to continue to keep me here, I guess, future. So one author in particular, Kennedy Ryan, I feel like I missed out on the Kennedy Ryan train initially, but now I'm ready to hop on. Something to hop on because she just keeps coming across my timeline, my feed, my everything. So I'm definitely hopping on the train. Okay, I'm going to read some of her books this year for sure. I'm looking forward to part 3 from Takira, her parachutes series. I haven't really elaborated on parachutes. I'm here for it. I have mixed thoughts, but I'm here for it. Takira is she's keeping me here. I still read Kimberly Lawson Robbie. I read her books when they come out because she's keeping me here. It's like a guaranteed good read, okay? That I didn't see keeping me here, like I didn't see it coming, but Evelyn Sola, she's keeping me here, and she's probably going to continue to keep me here because I think she's young in her book writing life. Like, I know of 4 or 5 books, but there could be 6. There's like a Christmas book, but let's just say I think she's got less than 10 books. It's not like she's been writing for 350 years. But she's one of the authors that's keeping me here, and she surprises me because she writes a lot of interracial love stories. And if you know me, then you know. It's like, if you know, you know. That's not really my vibe. That's not really, yeah. So it's got to be her writing, her style, something that, keeps me there. And she's the one who, hopped on the train, followed. There are others, Love Belvin, I said Ashley, but Ashley Angel Cuevas, David Weaver. There are other authors that, are keeping me here, that sort of thing. And I try to highlight those authors here, but I would love to hear who the people think are next. Who's next up? Okay. Who's going to carry the torch until, the next 25 years. If you enjoyed this video, please leave me a like. We are on a growing journey here on this channel, trying to grow this YouTube channel, and I would love for you to be a part of that growth. Also, let me know who is keeping you here and who's next up. Who's next? We gotta how we got here, who's keeping us here, and who's next up. So the book started off, the video, sorry. It started off, it was gonna be like really, I want to say salacious, because I talked about Elin Harris and a little bit of Sister Soldier, but the Sister Soldier book, Coldest Winter Ever, that's the book that got a lot of us here. And I may have already said this, elaborated on it, but that's the book that got a lot of us here. But are we overhyping that book? Are we giving it too much praise? I don't know. If you want me to elaborate about it, let me know down in the comments. Okay. Leave a like again, and please share your thoughts about who's next and who's keeping you here. Thank you very much for watching this video. Happy reading, everybody. Bye-bye.